I personally take a deep breath because it centers me and makes me present in the moment. I take a deep breath and just look around you and appreciate what you see. Just feel the fullness of the appreciation. Hello and welcome to the Business of Happiness podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Tarryn MacCarthy. And today, this whole week is going to be a great week. Today is the day after Thanksgiving. This whole week has been a week of just focusing on giving thanks and appreciation for the wonderful things around us. And today we're talking about how in order to feel appreciation, we have to be present. That in order to receive the incredible gifts in our world and in our lives, it takes presence in the moment. I want to share with you today a story that happened to me last week at work. Another story from the dental chair. And the story I titled Julie because that is the name of my patient. And Julie actually came to me 2 years ago. And when she did, she was starting on this journey of coming to an orthodontist. And when she presented to me, she told me her story. She's this really incredible human. She's a nurse, giving, caring to other people, serving other people. And she told me that in her past, she had been very depressed, very anxious, very sick. She had suffered from bulimia and anorexia decades ago and depression. And her life was a wreck. And she said, you know, Tarryn, I did the work on myself to change my life, to change my mindset, to change the way I see the world and I see myself. And it worked. I turned my life around. And now I'm able to serve and give and be there for other people. I was so focused on what I didn't have in my life. I was so focused on the negativity in my life that I wasn't able to be present for other people. And now I can be. Just that story in of itself was so beautiful. But then she went on to say, you know, the one thing that has held me back is that my teeth are still the signs of the person I used to be. Now, for those of you who don't know, anorexia and bulimia can do terrible things to your teeth, as it had done for Julie's. And she had just avoided facing this for decades. So even though everything else in her life had transformed, her teeth were a visceral, visual memory of that time in her life who she was outside of herself, outside of her true nature, in a world of suffering and someone she didn't want to be. And she's in tears that first appointment. And, you know, I remember during this appointment, I was crying. My treatment coordinator was crying. All three of us were crying because it was so emotional. And she said, I really hope you can help me. And I knew I could. I wasn't crying for that reason. I was crying because of the beauty of the transformation I was about to witness, because I knew how impactful this would be, because I could feel her emotions. I could feel how meaningful this would be to her. And the reason why I'm telling you this story is because she just completed her treatment last week. Her smile is spectacular. Her teeth are all healed and her smile is restored. And her beauty on the outside now matches the beauty on the inside, at the very least in terms of her own perception. She feels now confident to smile. And she said that to me last week. She said, the one thing that I was holding back from doing in expressing this new person I have become was smiling. She said, it's very difficult to feel happy when you don't smile. I know this to be true. The reason why I'm telling you this story is because last week when she completed her treatment, once again, she was in tears. I was in tears. Now my assistant, who was working in that space with me, was in tears. We were so emotional about this moment, what this meant to her, just being present with her in that moment and acknowledging this enormous transformational journey, it represented so much more than teeth. And here's the magic of that moment as it related to each one of us in that moment, that we were all fully present for it. I had 6 or 7 other patients. I was the only doctor in the office that day, so there was definitely phone ringing, people wanting to talk to me on the phone. There were issues happening all around me. For all of my listeners who are business owners, you know there are bills to pay, there are letters to write, there are 100 things to address in any one moment in time in business. If I sat down and thought about all the things I quote unquote should be doing, I could drive myself crazy. But what I chose to do in the moment was be very present in the moment. Yes, the light was flashing for me to go to another chair, but I chose presence in the moment. Julie chose presence in that moment. My assistant chose presence in that moment, and it meant everything. It allowed each of us to receive the gift of that moment. And that moment meant more than anything I could accomplish in that day. That moment gave me the gift of what I do on a daily basis. Now, I know when you're listening to this podcast, you're saying, easy for you to say, Tarryn, you transform smiles, you make real impact in people's lives. I didn't always see it that way. I really didn't. In fact, for a long time, it felt almost like I was buying into something vain or superficial by straightening smiles. I didn't allow myself to see the impact that I could have on people's lives. And here's the second most valuable part: appreciate the impact that I can have on people's lives. I don't care what you do in your job, in your profession, in your business. I don't care if you're cleaning floors. Thank you for cleaning that floor for me. Thank you for being a part of helping me keep my space clean so that I can be present in that moment. I don't care if you're bagging my groceries. I am so grateful to you. You are making a difference in people's lives. But it takes being present in the moment to appreciate what you mean to other people. Now, I don't know what this is in our lives that we tell ourselves that being present in the moment is selfish, or that I should be doing something else, or we put other priorities on there. In that moment, when Julie was in the chair, it was a 5-minute doctor time appointment. Now, I know that sounds crazy if you're not a dentist, but in orthodontics, our schedules are so full that we design our schedule by something called doctor time. When does the doctor need to be at the chair? How much time? And it was literally maybe 3 or 5 minutes I had with that patient. And I allowed the whole 3 to 5 minutes to just be present, just to be there with her and let everything else fall away. If you're listening to this podcast, chances are you didn't get into business to be miserable. The problem is that people feel that if their business gets busier, if they start becoming more successful, that happiness will eventually set in. But it can actually get worse. This is why I created the Business of Happiness Prosperity Coaching. In this one-on-one coaching, we look at how to redefine success on your terms and re-find the joy and the passion in your dream. Visit me at thebizofhappiness.com and become the happiest business owner you know. I was reminded of this again this weekend. It was my daughter's birthday, and we went to a painting place, the Muse Painting in Portland, Maine. A shout out to that wonderful place. You know, none of us are phenomenal artists. In fact, some of us are terrible artists. But the focus that we had on that painting for those 3 hours, the presence in the moment was so precious. It allowed us to appreciate the moment. And I think in the rest of our lives, we have so many to-dos and should-dos and perceived importance and urgencies all around us that we miss the magic of those moments. And it's those moments that can define every aspect of what you love about yourself and about your work. So as we think about this week of Thanksgiving, we think about the act of appreciation. What is appreciation? And it's interesting when you look up the word to appreciate or appreciation, one of the definitions is to add value. Oh, I love that. I love that because in the act of appreciation, that's where we find abundance. That's where we recognize what the value is that we have in front of us. Instead of focusing so much on what we don't have, appreciation allows you to see the abundance of what you do have. In that moment with Julie, I could have thought of all the things I didn't have, all the stresses that were taking away from me, that were robbing me of happiness. But being present for that moment allowed me to appreciate the enormity of this very mundane, everyday moment that happens all the time, but the incredible miracle that that moment is. Years ago, it reminds me, years ago, my husband, Killian, started saying, and when I say years ago, I mean, this must have been, I think, even before we had kids, right in the beginning of our marriage. So 20 years ago, I remember Killian saying to me when we were on vacation once, Tarryn, stop and make a memory. And he instilled this saying in my kids. Every time we go on vacation, he'd say, all right, close your eyes, make a memory. We'd be in a beautiful place. We love to take vacations. We love to explore the world. So literally in Botswana, we'd stop and everyone would just take a moment to make a memory. And it's interesting how that act of pausing, being present in the moment, adds the value of the moment, adds the importance, gives you the opportunity to receive the gift of the moment. So I ask you, what do you want? What are the gifts that you want? Do you want more love in your life? Then I challenge you, be present for the love that is there. Don't miss it. When you miss that glint in your lover's eyes, then you've missed it. When you miss that heartwarming comment from your mother, then you've missed it. But if you can be present for it, then you can feel the enormity of that love. So what do you want? Do you want more joy in work? Do you want more fulfillment from your business? Then be present for those moments when that happens. Be present, be waiting, be expecting, and then be so present of it. What do you want to feel? You want to feel inspired? Then be inspired. Be present for that inspirational moment, and then grab it and hold it and love it and appreciate it. Give yourself the time to do so. It's so powerful. It is one of the most powerful happiness practices. So here's an exercise you can do right now, wherever you are listening to this podcast. If you're walking around the block with your headphones on, if you're driving somewhere listening to me on in your car, if you're at the gym, wherever you are, just take a moment. Now, when I say take a moment, I personally take a deep breath because that centers me and makes me present in the moment. I take a deep breath and just look around you and appreciate what you see. Just feel the fullness of the appreciation. Man, I am so grateful for this gym that allows me to be here. I am so grateful to live in a country where I have the freedom to walk around the block. And man, I'm so appreciative of this beautiful view and of this home I'm walking into. I'm so appreciative of this car and the seat warmer beneath me that I have, or just that this car is functional and that it's mine to use to get me anywhere I need to be. I'm so appreciative of this time to be listening to a podcast, to be focusing on my happiness and the abundance around me. That's Thanksgiving. That is giving thanks for what is in your life and allowing it to fill you and define you and define this moment. You don't have to be on vacation in Botswana to feel the fullness and the gift of the moment. Man, it's so big right now, in this very second. Make a memory right now. Allow this ordinary, mundane moment in your life to be extraordinary. Allow it to be what defines your day, your week, your month, that moment you were present enough to be appreciative of the miracle that is now. Ida Scott Taylor McKenney said, "Live in the present and make it so beautiful that it will be worth remembering." I love that. I love that. My friends, happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy and appreciate everything that you have in your lives. Enjoy your families. Enjoy this moment in time. Enjoy a break from work. Enjoy going back to work. Enjoy the sunshine. Enjoy the rain. Enjoy it all. Appreciate it all, because everything has the potential to be a miracle in your life. And remember, it's when you feel good, when you can feel that appreciation, that's when you can do good in this world.